Hello, and welcome to the Hello You Show, where we talk about big dreams and taking real action. Through transformative stories, a bit of neuroscience, and real conversations, this show is here to help you explore creating your next level life with authenticity and passion. I'm Jessica Rice, a design techie and former engineering leader turned vision evolution coach on a mission to help other women rise up and lead a life of purpose. So get cozy and say hello again to the real you. Today, I wanted to take a step back for a little bit and really thinking about what is it the season that you are in your life? We are always shifting seasons, just like we are shifting with the seasons from spring to fall to winter. Our lives are constantly shifting too. And there might be different barriers that you're encountering, based on the season that you're in. And you also might be going through some great transformational change, whether you recognize it or not. I'm going through several courses right now, and I tend to do this. I'll kind of go through what I call kind of like this learning period where I'm just like a sponge. I'm taking everything in. And so I'll kind of do this in waves in midlife. And then I'll kind of take a break. And then I'll kind of come back. And I do this for myself. And I was having this really interesting conversation with a woman. She owns transformational business, doing healing, Reiki. And I was asking her, what is it that you do to create boundaries for yourself? She homeschools her kids as well. And it was an interesting answer that she came back to me with, which was she doesn't create boundaries in her life. Now, as a coach and someone who studies, mental functions, neuroscience, habits, there are certain times where maybe boundaries are in order. But it was an interesting statement because what she said was that she tries to be as present as she can in any given moment. Now, being present in the moment is something that we as humans tend to struggle with, especially in today's age with constant distractions, devices, things tugging at us. And I know we've talked about that in some previous, videos in relation to how do we establish habits and goals for ourselves. But really being present, and what does that mean for you? What does being present in your life right now mean for you? Because it can be really different than what it meant maybe 3 months ago, maybe 4 months ago. A couple months ago for myself, I was in kind of this survival mode, and then I went into this hibernation mode. I just needed to kind of hunker down and just focus a little bit more on what it is that I was doing in my life, what it is that I wanted to create, what am I cultivating for my life, my business, those around me who are in my sphere of circle of influence. And I didn't, fully have a good context even at that time. And then now I was wondering, why did I say yes to all of these courses? Is it because I have some need to fulfill an imposter syndrome that might be under the hood? We all struggle and face different types of things that come up for us. Or was it something else? I was listening to a good friend of mine speaking yesterday, talking about sometimes this need to continually add to our plates another certification in order for us to feel accomplished, for us to demonstrate our worth. And it can come from a real place of lacking. But for myself, I had to sit there and I thought, actually, right now I'm in a season of yes. I'm in a season of yes to me. I'm in a season of yes to saying, I want to learn, I want to grow, and I want to expand my knowledge in certain areas because it's very interesting to me. And I also am in a season of yes with my clients. Sometimes we have boundaries that we place because we are creating a safe environment for ourselves. We struggling to take more in. Maybe we have taken all that we can from life at that moment. And so we might be more in the season of safety, of creating a boundary, creating a safety net or a little shell that we can crawl into. And then, it might come where we start to expand and open up and reemerge back into the world and create something else for ourselves. And this ebbs and flows with life, right? We can't control life. It just starts happening sometimes. And so with that, we then flow too with it. Or we can try to flow against it. But if we can flow with it, and we can think about what life is bringing for us in that moment, it enables us to really sit back, look deep within, and figure out what is the healthiest thing for me right now? Where do I want to be? What is homeostasis right now? For me, homeostasis is actually stretching myself at this moment, stretching myself so that I can grow, so that I am continually adding into my own experience as well as others. But I couldn't do that even a few months ago. I didn't have the space for it. I didn't have the motivation. And when we talk about, our brains and dopamine hits and distractions, I do feel that there is a place for all of, whether it's boundaries or for saying yes, for creating that presence, like my friend was talking about. So when we create presence, when we are being fully present in our lives, that can be in either a yes state, a boundary state, whatever it is that we're cultivating, because we are now in alignment. We are fully aware of what it is that we need to do for us to be healthy. We need to know how we show up. And I spoke about this a little bit yesterday on social media, which is how do we show up? How are we accountable for ourselves? And therefore, how are we accountable to others? How we're establishing our personal brand, our leadership, what it is that we are telling other people who are in our lives when we show up for them. And I wanted to mention it because I think inadvertently we don't show up because we don't value ourselves, or we feel overwhelmed, or we allow for our feelings to start dictating our behaviors. But then we also are in conflict or struggle because we have this fear of missing out. We might overbook ourselves, and we're not tending to our needs. We're not tending to our energy. And so in those cases, that's when I start to notice that clients might miss appointments. They might late cancel. Whatever is going on in their lives, even though they agreed. And what that really starts to cultivate and create is a pattern of inconsistency and also of betrayal of ourselves. So if we're not really showing up for our commitments and what it is that we are wanting to cultivate in our lives, essentially showing up for our future, then we are betraying what our goals are. Because it is the hardest thing to do, is usually the thing that will take us the furthest in our lives. It's the commitment, it's the dedication, it's the skills, it's the things that we need. However, we can't always sit in that place if we aren't ready. And so then what's the other challenging piece? It's being present for ourselves. So when I was in homeostasis, it doesn't necessarily mean that I am distracted or that I am avoiding my life. It really means that I am tending to myself in a deeper way, really reflecting what it is that I need in that moment in my life. And now when I move into this phase, I'm ready. I feel recharged. I feel intentful and purposeful with my mission and what it is I'm here to do, what I'm here to create and share. And so it's really about bringing all of ourselves back to the table. When we only can show up in scattered fragments and we're not taking into consideration our presence. We're not taking into consideration our energy. We aren't fully ourselves, and we are not allowing our full selves to shine so that others can see that. And so when we're thinking about how do we move up, how do we create an impact, how do we create a legacy, how do I do the scary thing? It starts with self. It starts with inside. It starts with recognizing where we're at and honoring that. And when we honor ourselves, then we are allowing ourselves to honor others. We are allowing ourselves to say no when we need to say no, and to say yes when we finally are able to. Oftentimes, it's not so much that we add to our plates, it's are we tending to our energy? Are we tending to what we're open to right now? Are we taking into account our mental health? And are we really paying attention? Are we really looking at the important pieces that will help us to be successful? Sometimes we do need to take a break. Sometimes we do need to rest. Our mind needs that. It needs to recharge. And if you've gone through burnout, it's going to take a little bit longer. It can take up to 35 days or longer, months sometimes. So really honoring and recognizing that and giving ourselves the grace to take a step back so that we can be recharged and energized for when we're ready to start. I'd love to know where you're at right now. What season are you in? How can I support you? Is there a resource, some words I could provide for you, depending on where you're at? There is no shame, no matter where we are. We can't always run full steam. I was talking to a client yesterday. She's describing burnout, but she didn't even know how to put it into words. For 5 years, she's been trying to sprint. And then when she takes a step back, she wonders why she's so exhausted. And we can all climb a steep mountain acutely. We can all run a short distance fast, acutely. It's when we try to maintain that pace that we start burning out. And so really recognizing where our energy is crucial for how do we recharge? How do we get back to where we need to be so that we can do those spurts, that motivation of self, our energy. Again, let me know in the comments what you're thinking, or feel free to reach out in the DMs. I'd love to talk to you. And if there's any resources I can send, let me know. Thank you for tuning in to the Hello You Show. It's been a pleasure to have you with us on this journey today. If you found value in our conversation and want to support the show, please take a moment to like, follow, and subscribe so you never miss an episode. We'd also deeply appreciate it if you could leave us a review. Your feedback not only helps us grow, but also enables others seeking inspiration and authenticity to discover our community. Until next time, keep embracing your story with purpose.